We're going to talk now about one of Europe's most iconic birds, the Eurasian crane, which is making a remarkable return to Ireland, even beginning to breed here again in recent years. And there'll be a talk in Kilkee to explore that story this week and what it means for wildlife more broadly. And I'm joined now by the Clare-based ecologist and bird expert, Cullen. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being with us. So can you explain to people the significance of the Eurasian crane and its return to Clare, to Ireland, how big a deal that is?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm delighted to be giving a talk on Wednesday this evening in support of the West Clare Wildlife Club. I suppose the recent story of breeding cranes in Ireland, Alan, is very much that of a returning species. We know that cranes occurred in Ireland from as far back as the post-glacial period, but they were lost as a breeding bird, most likely becoming extinct by the end of the 16th century. In recent years, the population across Europe has been increasing, possibly as a result of climate change, with breeding records in places like Belgium and the Netherlands, and closer to home in places like Scotland. That being said, it was still a great surprise when in 2020 a pair was discovered with a nest and eggs in a cutaway bog in the Midlands of Ireland.
Okay, so why is Clare, the wider region, becoming a place where the Eurasian cranes are returning? And I guess that begs a follow-up question of what kind of habitats cranes need, and are we doing enough to protect those habitats?
Yes, well, the cranes are an iconic wetland species. They have very much got a strong association with peatlands as well. In the Clare context, we know, of course, that cranes occurred historically in Clare because we have found bones of cranes as part of archaeological excavations. At the moment, the habitats that cranes are selecting in the Midlands are re-wetted cutaway bogs. So these are bogs that have been formerly subject to peat extraction and have now been naturally re-wetting or rehabilitated over time. And it's very much a case of the habitats on sites being a mosaic, as we'd call it, of birch woodland, but then wetlands and open water bodies. And that's the sort of habitat they're selecting.
Can we give any credit to conservation efforts, Chris? Is the return of the Eurasian crane, is it a sign that the conservation efforts in Ireland are working?
I suppose there's a wider conservation efforts probably across Europe can be attributed to some of the population increase. We know for certain that there's a reintroduction program in the UK has benefited the crane populations, but generally speaking, they've been on an upwards trajectory in terms of the population. Now, peatland rehabilitation, such as what Bord na Móna is carrying out under the Peatland Climate Action Scheme, does create habitat for cranes, possibly for the future. To date, we have rehabilitated about 25,000 hectares of cutaway bog, so you could call that a form of conservation, if you know what I mean.
And your talk is at Cullen on Sweeney this week. As I mentioned, it's on Wednesday at 8 p.m. What can people expect if they come along, and do they have to register to attend?
I don't believe you have to register. I think attendance is free, and what I'll be talking about is basically the history of the bird in Ireland, the recent trends in the population across Europe, and then a bit of detail on the specific breeding site, the year-to-year breeding and their general ecology.
Okay, well, I'm sure there'll be a good attendance at that. The Clare-based ecologist and bird expert, ecology team lead for Bord na Móna, and the man who will be giving the talk at Cullen on Sweeney in Kilkee this coming Wednesday evening is Cullen. Chris, I appreciate you joining us on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks very much.